and it is very difficult to find them in the field. For such animals, if scientists or researcher or wildlife conservation want to reduce information about their presence, then scientists are depend on the indirect signs of these wild animals. In such situations, reading and interpreting indirect signs of wild animals correctly is very, very important to get the information about these animals. So what are the indirect signs? So different kind of indirect signs of animals we get in the field. So we can indirect signs include scats, pellets, dung piles, droppings, nest, feathers, quills, egg, cells or skin, pug marks, footmarks, scratch marks, scrape marks and sprays, dents, holes and antlers. So all these signs are included under the heading of indirect signs. So by having information and by reading these signs and interpreting these signs, we can get the information about the animals which are very elusive and which are not, we are not able to see them directly in the forest. So what are the purpose of indirect signs? So many animals, wild animals, use indirect signs to communicate something to the animal. So they have different signs have different purposes. For example, sometimes these animals are communicate with each other with the help of indirect signs. For example, through that scratch mark on the trees, tiger tried to communicate their territory and also tried to communicate their status to the others tigers. And sometimes these wild animals also use these indirect signs to mark their territories, and these indirect signs are also used to advertise their dominance. And sometimes these indirect evidences are also used to display the readiness to mate, and the others will use these finding and attracting the mates. So for example, if we are taking the example of that pug marks of the wild animals, so different animals have different kind of the pug marks, so we are able to identify which pug mark belongs to which animal species. Then only we can try to find out the presence or absence of the species. Then only we can interpret is these indirect signs. So this slide shows that pug marks of different wild animal species found in any protected area. So they have different impression on the ground, and on the basis of this slide you can identify these pug marks in the field. So this is the pug marks of tiger, and how to then read the pug marks correctly in the field, it is very, very important. Then only we can reduce the information. So if we are reading the pug marks, so we can differentiate between the pug marks of dog family and the cat family. So in dog family, claw marks are visible in dog family. When these dog family like hyena and jackal and wild dog, so these leaves claw marks with the pug marks. While in the cat family, the claw marks or the nail marks will not be visible on the ground with the pug marks. So on the basis of this feature, we can differentiate between the pug mark of a dog family and cat family. And on the basis of that, we can distinguish between how to distinguish between the hind pug mark from the front pug mark. Front pug marks are larger than the hind pug marks. In front pug mark, the forward most point of the two middle toes are almost at the same level. In the hind pug marks, the forward most point of the two middle toes are distinctively at the different levels. And through this, we can find out whether this is like a left or right pug mark of a carnivore species. So that pattern of the fingers of the pug mark is similar to the pattern of our fingers. So if the pattern is matching with the right hand, then we can say that it's the right pug mark. If the pattern is matching with the left hand, then we can say that this is the left pug marks. Thank you.
Habitat utilization. So sometimes researchers are interested in to determine the habitat utilization by different species. So how to determine the habitat utilized by different species? There are different designs or methods or the models to determine the habitat utilization. And out of these many designs, one design is huge availability design. Data under this design, data on availability and utilization is compared to calculate the abundance and preference by a particular species. So data on number of locations or food items used by a particular species in the field is collected through the field surveys, and data on location of a species in a particular habitat can be also determined through the radio calling, and data on food habits by a particular species can be determined from the field observation or the data collected from the scat analysis. And data on availability will be calculated through GIS, GIS marking all the habitat in the field and then determine the habitat or the area under the different habitat. And through the sampling for the availability of food resources, like we can determine the availability of food for carnivore species from the data of transect monitoring, and by having vegetation sampling we can determine the availability of food material for different species in the field. These both data will be compared with the help of Bonferroni confidence intervals. Bonferroni confidence intervals will be calculated from these data, and then with the Bonferroni confidence intervals we determine the preference and abundance of a particular food plant or a habitat by a species. So this type of the data we will get from the field. So this is the formula for calculation of Bonferroni confidence intervals, where Pi is the proportional usage of a habitat category I or a particular food item by a species. N is the total number of used observation. Z alpha by 2k is the upper standard normal table value corresponding to a probability tail area of alpha by 2k. Alpha is the level of significance, like 90%, 95%, 99%, and k is the number of category tested to determine the habitat utilization. So when we have data on availability and utilization, this is the example of a habitat used by tiger in Corbett Tiger Reserve. So we have like a number of indirect evidence of tiger in different habitat, and on the basis of that data we calculate the expected uses, actual uses, and expected proportional uses, and this data is used with the Bonferroni confidence intervals. So after calculating the Bonferroni confidence intervals, we have such this kind of table, and then we made the comparison. When the expected utilization is more than upper confidence, then a particular habitat or food item is less utilized than would be expected by chance. When a expected utilization is less than lower confidence intervals of a Bonferroni confidence interval, then a particular habitat or a food item is more utilized than would be expected by chance. When the expected utilization falls between the lower and upper confidence intervals, then habitat or a food item is utilized as would be expected by chance, and we can say there is no selection in the habitat utilization or food utilization by a particular species. Thank you.